here. It is 6:30 p.m. on March 2nd. So let's go ahead and begin with start with the roll call.
Trustee Donnelly.
Present.
Trustee Friedman. Present. Trustee Rodriguez. Trustee Arzan Gonzalez.
Here.
Trustee Jackson Miller.
Here, thank you. And it appears like we may have lost Trustee Rodriguez for a moment.
Was here and then lost connection.
Okay. I'm sure he'll rejoin us shortly. So first of all, I'm going to note that we did not have a closed session this evening. That was canceled. And so we are going to begin with item 3A, the Pledge of Allegiance. Scott, if you'd like to introduce Principal Witter.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Soquel Elementary Principal Eric Witter is here tonight with one of their amazing students here to lead the pledge and the mission statement. Mr. Witter.
Yes, hello. And I'm just checking to see, is my George, do you know? I don't think she's here.
I don't see any other.
Okay, we had to make a switch today because we had a sick kid, so we were hoping. But Emrit Olvera Perez, the plan, we were working on it today, was going to be our reader, but right now I don't see her.
If it's okay with the superintendent, I think we could move forward a little bit and give it a few minutes. And we always really appreciate the opportunity to do the pledge and the mission statement and see a student. So
sorry, Eric, what was the name?
Emrit Olvera Perez.
Okay, we just had someone join the waiting room under the name Angelica.
Yeah, that's her mom's. That's her.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you, Amanda.
Absolutely appreciate it. Happy to have the chance to have our student with us.
Okay.
All right. Yeah,
Hey.
go ahead.
All right, and Emrit, there you are. All right, so Superintendent Turnbull, Cabinet, and Board of Education, thank you for having us. And the Soquel Elementary Pledge of Allegiance and Mission Statement reader is Emrit Olvera Perez.
Please stand. Place your hand on your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
States of America and to the republic for
which it stands,
one nation under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
well,
with liberty and justice for all. Soquel Union Elementary School District. Staff, students, parents, and the community share the responsibility for each child's success. We are committed to ensuring that each student develops the skills and confidence for lifelong achievement and is prepared to make a positive contribution to our world.
Thank you very, very much, Emrit. We so appreciate having you here. Can you give me a thumbs up just so I can make sure you can hear us?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. It's really nice to have you here. And we really appreciate you coming on kind of short notice. That's really, really awesome that you're able to do that. It probably says a lot about what kind of a student you are, what kind of a friend you are. So I have a certificate for you. If we were having this meeting in person, I would be handing it to you and shaking your hand if that's allowed. But instead, I'm going to hold it up. It's probably even backwards, but I'm going to read it to you and you'll get a copy of the certificate if you haven't already. You'll get it very soon. Is it okay if I read some nice things about you?
Yes.
Okay. So the Soquel Union Elementary School District Board of Trustees Certificate of Recognition for our Student Pledge of Allegiance leader and mission statement reader, Emrit Olvera Perez, 4th grade student from Soquel Elementary School. Emrit is a 4th grade student at Soquel Elementary who is strongly recommended by her teachers to be our Pledge of Allegiance reader. They describe her as a student who's hungry to learn and is always striving to do her best. Curiosity is one of her strengths, and she has excelled in all academic areas. Emrit is a multilingual student that earned redesignation this year. We've heard that she's a helpful sibling, and we know that you love art both in and out of school. Emrit, these are really awesome accomplishments, and usually the members of the Board of Trustees like to ask you some friendly questions about yourself, maybe some questions about school. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Any of my fellow trustees have any questions for Emrit?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Emrit, this is your drawing behind me, right?
Yes.
Oh man, I love it. Makes me look like I'm a ray of sunshine. It makes us all happy, especially, with the warmer weather, and it just warms up everything. I love your artwork, and keep up the artwork too. Do you do a lot more? Do you do a lot of drawings, daily?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Well, keep up the good work. I love it.
Thanks.
Stay awesome.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments for Emrit?
Just thank you so much for being here this evening. It's a pleasure to meet you, and it's just always wonderful to see students from our different schools and meet them. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
I just wanted to say that I was so impressed by everything that I heard tonight. It's awesome that you're multilingual. It's your superpower. So congratulations on that. That's really awesome. Thanks for being here tonight.
All right, unless any other board members want to chime in, I think we've said so much. We're so appreciated to have you here. Again, congratulations on your redesignation, being a multilingual student, your curiosity, being a helpful sibling. I'm sure your parents appreciate that. And then the fact that you continue to do art, that's something that's just so good for you, and hopefully helps you feel really happy, and gets a nice thing for you to be able to enjoy for yourself. So thank you, Emrit. We really appreciate having you here, and thank you to your parents for helping you be here too.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Principal Witter, for introducing your amazing student. We really appreciate having you.
Of course, you're welcome.
All right, moving on to the next item on our agenda would be adoption of agenda. Do I have a motion from a member of the board to adopt the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Carolyn.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next, item 3C would be a report out of closed session. As I mentioned earlier, closed session was canceled, so there's nothing to report, and there was no closed session that took place. I want to let our student know, Emrit, know you're welcome to be here and listen if you'd like to listen to our board meeting. It's a public meeting, so a meeting of the board is held in public, so you're welcome to listen. But we absolutely understand if you need to leave. That is oftentimes what our students need to do so they can get on with the fun part of their evening. But we do appreciate having you. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve and adopt the consent agenda?
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor to adopt and approve the consent agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Great. Next, we're going to move on to a public hearing. Superintendent Turnbull, if you'd like to introduce our public hearing, please.
Amanda, it's actually my agenda item.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
No, I
Apologies.
find my unmute button. Sorry about that. But yeah, this is Michelle's.
Sorry about that.
Well, I didn't have enough agenda items this evening. I didn't want Scott to steal my thunder. This good evening, board. Tonight, I'd like to open a public hearing on entering into negotiations with a CSEA. They were able to put forth a sunshine agreement that the district and CSEA mutually agreed upon and bring that to an open public hearing this evening. So we may officially begin our negotiations.
Excellent. I'm going to use my imaginary gavel at home and open up our public hearing. Again, this is specifically for any comments on the issues of opening up negotiations with CSEA. It's 6:42, and I will leave this open for comment on this issue. Oops, do we have anyone on text, Zoom, call in, etc., to make a comment on our public hearing item?
Nothing on text.
Nothing on email.
No one in Zoom.
Okay, I will hold the hearing open for another 30 seconds or so, just in case someone's trying to connect, if y'all don't mind refreshing in a few seconds, just in case. All right. I'm going to assume someone will chime in if we do get a text, Zoom, or email on this issue. Okay. Okay, then without receiving comment then, no comments requested, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:43. Next, we'll move on to item 6, public communications. Our agenda lists the various ways to communicate with us in this virtual setting. And so folks can either text or call in or use the Zoom link. So I will read our statement about public communications. 3 minutes may be allotted to each speaker and a maximum of 20 minutes for each subject matter. The trustees cannot take any action on these matters unless such matters are placed on a future agenda according to law. If the item is on the agenda, you'll have the opportunity to speak at the time the agenda item is discussed. Please specify, if you're commenting on an agenda item, of course you would do it at the time of the agenda. Please address the board president. These proceedings are video recorded, and board members shall hold the education of students above any partisan principle, group interest, or personal interest. And I do understand we have someone on the line who'd like to make a public comment, and so we are ready to receive that when you're ready.
I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Okay. This is Marilyn Garrett. I've been to your meetings in person before, which I would like to see you resume. And I was a teacher for 30 years and always prioritized the well-being of the students. I believe in the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm. Whatever we're doing at school, we should be not harming the students. In fact, I think we need to have a proof of safety of whatever is taking place, whether it's Wi-Fi or using pesticides at the school or vaccines. I know you were using the school as an injection site. This is a fact that not a single one of the 72 doses of 16 vaccines that are currently mandated for children has ever gone through a pre-licensing safety trial, a placebo-controlled trial. That's a pretty strong statement from Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s speech at the Weston A. Price Foundation annual event. And the way you can look at that is Weston A. Price SUESD.org, as is this other document that is a trifold that comes from them that lists ingredients in COVID vaccines. I'm a person who's been reading ingredients for decades in whatever I purchase. So what are these ingredients in the COVID vaccines? And you praise this young student for her curiosity. And that's a very fine trait everyone should have. So I expect your curiosity will lead you to this document called The Truth About Myths and Truths About COVID-19, Contagious Virus, or 5G Microwave Technology. I'm just going to give a partial list in here.
Speaker, you have
Synthetic-
approximately 1 minute left.
Okay, thank you. Synthetic RNA, graphene oxide, nanoparticles, and can cause magnetism at the site of the injection, as well as oxidative stress, DNA damage, inflammatory response, blood clotting, oxygen loss, and necrosis. Discovery of graphene oxide in the vaccine has led sometimes scientists to label them as bioweapons. There's also polyethylene glycol, sodium acetate, and the list goes on. I suggest you look into this, as well as a person named David Martin, who is an expert on patents. He spoke at an event called Focus on Fauci, and he says these are not vaccines. This is an mRNA.
Thank you, ma'am. Excuse
Yeah.
me, I'm so sorry to interrupt. We are at the 3-minute mark. We do appreciate having you, but it is the
Thank
3-minute
you.
mark.
Safety first. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And do we have any other public speakers this evening?
I'm not aware of anybody else, and there's nobody requesting it on text.
And no comments on email.
No one on Zoom.
Thank you all. Trustee Rodriguez, welcome back. Sorry, I think you had
Yeah,
some tech
Bill
issues.
Rodriguez, present again.
Thank you. Glad you made it back into the virtual world here with us. Our next items are our standing reports, and so we'll start with our assistant superintendents, and I believe Michelle goes first. I'm very sorry, when we're not in the physical space, I have trouble remembering our order.
Good evening again, board. I actually will forego my report out this evening. I think everything I've worked on this week is an agenda item later this evening. Just happy to see everybody. And I do want to add one thing. We got our numbers in from Kathy Giannini regarding CNS, and with the shortened month and with a lot of COVID absences, we still did almost 22,000 meals this month at our 4 school sites. So, and I was treated to a wonderful new item on the menu today, which was a Southwest chicken wrap salad with a sun-dried tomato tortilla shell. It was fabulous. So just wanted to add that. So thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Dr. Kiernan.
All right, well, thank you. Good evening, board and public. First, I want to say, Michelle, I'm so jealous. I wish I would have had that specialty lunch today, but I'll have to talk to Kathy about getting my name on her list. That said, I'm happy to provide a few updates from the ed services realm of our district since the last time we met. Our admin team has had our second training with the Imperial Valley SELPA. They're one of our new partners this year. The primary center of our learning this time was to look at specific tools and processes to fully support English learners' language development to mitigate any potential false negative assessments for EL students as learning disabled. So that was a really, really great topic for us. And I think it'll make some shifts to our practices in the very near future. Also, our SEL systems lead team, in partnership with the County Office of Education, met to organize our plans. related to PD in our district, specifically that time to talk about our February 18th PD and then our April PD. So we're really excited to have that partnership as well. The feedback from that February 18th survey was quite good. Our principals, leaders of learning team, again, met with Melissa Roberts last Thursday. The focus of that training was culturally relevant leadership. And we've really been hitting the ground hard on this all year. This time we specifically talked about supporting our staffs as they walked through this culturally responsive education journey. So that really was a fine nuance to what we're doing now. Also, our Racial Justice Task Force Subcommittee on Curriculum and Instruction had a highly productive meeting this week. We talked about specific areas of interest, including in curriculum audits, culturally responsive professional growth, data collection, research-based protocols and tools, and then just ways in which we can engage more people in this exciting work. So that was a fantastic subcommittee meeting this week. Also, our DLI work group, school visit subcommittee, met to debrief our school visit from Freedom Elementary. And we talked about potential DLI curriculum, instructional strategies, inclusion, student access, research, and then of course, best practice. Again, a very, very productive meeting today. And I think we're making really, really great progress. Lastly, our MTSS grant admin and coaching teams have undergone 2 training sessions since the last time we met. This is really a wonderful grant that we've been able to access through our student services department, specifically our director of student services, Eric Olson, who wrote the grant for us. This is a multi-year grant. And it really is intended to support every one of our staff across the district over the next 3 years. So this is just a few highlights from our ed services realm, but really great quality work that we're doing, and I'm very proud of it.
Thank you so much. Scott.
Thank you, President Jackson Miller. On the COVID front, the positivity rate is way down across the county and across our school district, which is great news. As I'm sure you've heard, the governor and Dr. Galley announced that after March 11th, that the California Department of Public Health would be moving from having a mask mandate in schools to identifying masks as strongly recommended in schools. So we can expect to see that change in our district and in districts across the county after March 11th. As the positivity rates continue to decline, we can also expect to have our next board meeting in person, moving back to that more traditional format. On other news, the new student registration is off and running thanks to the great work at our school sites, mostly by our front office staff. As was previously mentioned, all of the subcommittees of the Racial Justice Task Force have been meeting, doing great work. We'll come together as a whole team on Monday, the 7th, and get to report out on all of those great meetings. I had the good fortune to work in the staffing subcommittee, our mighty team of 3 right now, because we have some folks that are out for various reasons. But Sandra Paredes, our personnel assistant, and one of our remaining parents on the task force, Marilyn Himes, we were able to engage in some work and identify some ways to connect with other agencies to try to clear pathways for persons of color to enter the teaching profession in our district. And lastly, I'll just mention that the mission statement Kickstarter team has been meeting and sending out information, requesting input on our mission statement, our belief statements, and working to identify a motto, all of which we hope to bring to the board for their input and consideration down the road. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We're now going to move, pardon me, onto items from CSEA. I see Mr. Dolmo here. Welcome.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Good.
Thank you. I first want to say thank you for the summer assistance. I'm hoping that a lot of our members, CSEA members, utilize this program. I know I was able to, and we hope that it continues the following year as well. And I want to also say thank you to Ms. Kennedy for approving it, because I've just found out that it's not actually accepted in some of the districts in the county. So we really appreciate you giving us that opportunity. Regarding negotiations, we hope that the board considers the approval for the bargaining agreement. I know that Ms. Kennedy gave me some dates next week, which is a Monday and Tuesday. I'm actually unavailable for training and doing some other stuff at work, but I hope that we can maybe meet on Thursday, March 10th. And I will get in touch with Buddy. He is off right now. So if he can confirm that date, I would like to meet with you on those dates as well. Other than that, I have nothing else from the CSEA members other than we are meeting next Wednesday for our monthly meeting. And that's all I have for right now.
Okay, thank you for the update.
Very
On to items from SEA. I see Mr. Barrett, if you'd like to join us. Hello.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, so not a whole lot to report from the last couple of weeks since the last time you guys met, but there is a lot coming up for SEA in the next week or so. Over the last couple of weeks, mission statement Kickstarter team with Scott and Michelle. I really appreciate that work, and I think excited to roll out kind of more relevant, more up-to-date mission statement. So really enjoyed that group. We've got a meeting of the SEA bargaining team tomorrow. Getting ready for a bargaining session next week. We also have an SEA general meeting next week. We are finishing up nominations for SEA leadership next year. So they are reaching out right now to people who have been nominated for positions for next year. And we are also running our admin surveys, which we extended a week, which is basically a yearly tradition at this point, setting a due date and then extending it a week because that's just how things go. So that we are hoping to have wrapped up on Friday, and then we'll review that next week and send that to you guys next week at some point. We are also working on a prototype logo for SEA, which is really exciting. So we have 7 prototype logos to look at, and another one possibly coming in by Thursday. So that's really exciting. Just another way to build our organization and just continue to with the work that we're doing right now. Other than that, we have obviously we've got the mask mandate on the agenda for Monday's meeting, the lifting of the mask mandate, and obviously there's been a lot of discussion about that, but we'll see what discussion there is on Monday. So that's about it for SEA this week. Thank you guys. Also, just really appreciate working with Mr. Domo as well. Really, I think he's done an amazing job kind of jumping into the position that he's in. So major props for Enrique. All right, thank you so much for the report. On to item 7D, items from trustees. Just go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like to make a report out.
Last week I attended part of the SUESD conference.
I'll start. I have nothing to report out on. Although am I being a max headroom? Am I kind of like coming in and out?
A little bit, but I appreciate the reference. That's one that I actually do understand. Ted, all right. Jen had started to talk, but I think Ted didn't have anything to report, if that's okay, and then we'll hop back to Jen.
I was just going to say I was fortunate to attend part of the curriculum and instruction conference last week and heard from an awesome student panel of students from around our county, youth leaders, and it's very inspiring to hear. And also, I know we've heard from students this week as well, and so it's just really wonderful to have student voice centered in that conference. And also had a wonderful closing session by Sean Ginwright, who wrote the 4 Pivots, which is a book that I'm now reading. So it was nice to attend an in-person conference for the first time in a couple of years. So yeah.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
So I, along with Amanda, attended a CSBA training for our region. Our region goes down to San Luis Obispo. It's always nice to be able to chit chat with colleagues up and down the coast. You get other ideas and perspectives. And it was a interesting workshop on the challenges of contemporary governance, I'll say. Then we also attended the COE meeting on our CVRA. Amanda could talk more about that. And then, of course, the equity workshop. I'm wearing my blue and yellow in support of the children of Ukraine. I'm done.
Thank you, Phil. Carolyn, it looked like you were starting to unmute.
I just wanted to comment on the equity and racial justice meeting that we all attended. I thought it was a very helpful and successful meeting. Just a lot of good discussions that happened. So that's it from me.
Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, Phil, I've got my yellow and blue too. You just probably can't see it under here. But thank you for mentioning all of the meetings that we attended. It was a busy week last week. And I agree, the CSBA training on governance during contemporary times that can be a little chaotic. It was very, very helpful and also nice to connect with folks who are experiencing very different things than what's happening in our district. And then appreciated working with all of you at our special workshop last week on our racial justice work. And as to the meeting at the County Office of Education virtual, I believe it was the County Commission. I don't have their exact title, but it's the County Commission that has the ability to make the approval for the CVRA trustee area elections plans that our board passed. And so thank you, Scott, and to the team for making a really excellent presentation. And it was nice for us as trustees to be able to be there just to weigh in with our support. And it was much appreciated that they did approve our plans. Anyone else have anything they'd like to weigh in on from the board or the rest of the team? Oops. All right, looks like we're ready to move on to our discussion items. So item 8A, our discussion regarding the LCAP supplement.
All right, well, this is actually just a regular LCAP bite tonight, and it falls under goal 3. And this specific spotlight tonight is on goal 3.5 related to our district leadership team. And our district leadership team in our district has shifted a number of times over the course of the few years that I've been here. It included only the elementary teachers when I first got here, and then we went to include administrators and our middle school staff. We are now approximately 40 members strong. And while it is our goal to meet for half days once every grading term, we do meet one afternoon virtually each grading term. We had a meeting as recently as a week and a half ago with a high level of participation, which was great to see. And we focused our time on 2 specific issues. One, we gave some updates on progress on some special projects that we've been working on. One that's been mentioned tonight, and that's the Racial Justice Task Force. And a lot of the members of that team are on the DLT and were able to share some of the work that's being done. We also talked about the mission statement Kickstarter team, and I am excited to be on that team. And Scott shared a little bit about that. The SEL systems team that we also talked tonight about was also a focus of progress for us, which we're very, very happy to have that extended partnership. And then lastly, we talked about our integrated arts continuation into next year. And that was a really exciting moment to be able to share that extension. The next thing we talked about was really just the staff feedback survey that we've received with regard to their desires for continued growth. And out of all of the certificated staff we had a 50% response rate, which is actually a really good response rate, especially given the time when everyone is overly busy and overly tasked. So we were able to share those results. I'll share them with you also because these were really great results to see. By really strong margins, the 5 top areas of growth and interest for our staff were culturally responsive education, trauma-informed practice, social emotional learning, and ELD classroom strategies. So, and mindful classroom practices. And, those are all things that we have put a lot of attention and care into, especially in a post-COVID time. And it's really nice to be able to respond to those interests. From that, we've talked about our Friday PDs that are district facilitated. And interestingly enough, they're in alignment with those highest level of interest topics that came from the feedback survey. So it was a really great time to meet. Too short, should it, not in person. We hope to change that. But I'm very proud of the team. They're very, I think, engaged. We want to engage more through like a in-person setting where we can really do interactive and collaborative, grouping and processing and strategizing. But I'm really excited to see that continue to grow with so many members continuing to participate. So that is my LCAP update tonight.
Thank you. Team, any questions or comments? Okay, I have one. Seeing no one else hop in, would you just repeat? It sounded like you were saying I think it's called the Integrated Arts Enrichment that's being extended for another year.
Yeah, we're fortunate with some of the supplemental funding sources that we've received through the state, that this is one of the categories that we can actually use to extend that additional year of teaching for those 3 teachers, which we're super excited about. We have obviously talked to our parent associations about what will happen after that. And of course, that's a continuing discussion, but our teachers are very happy. We're very happy. And our kids are so enjoying these integrated arts positions across the district. It was really great information to share.
Thank you. I really appreciate the clarification. I thought my ears heard like some really great news, and I wanted to make sure. So thank you. That's awesome. Happy to hear that. Any other questions or comments from the team? Looks like no. Any questions or comments from any members of the public?
Nothing on text for this item.
And nothing on email.
No one on Zoom.
All right, thanks so much. We are going to move. Yeah, thank you. Move on to section 9 of the agenda, which I think I'm just going to refer to as Michelle's action items. So we'll start with item 9A, consider approval of the CSEA Joint Collective Bargaining Agreement proposal.
Good evening, everyone. Again, yes. I told Superintendent Turnbull this was a little reminiscent of entering into the bond project again, where I have many agenda items that will have to come forward to the board over the next few months. However, my very first agenda item is non-construction related, and I'm very happy to present. But if the board wouldn't mind giving me 1 minute, I would like to address Mr. Domo's comment, because it was very exciting. Our summer assistance program that the state has offered, that we're offering to all CSEA members, I was able to finalize our work today to send to the state. And in year 1, which was, I'm getting my years mixed up, I'm so sorry, 2021 school year, we had 12 participants. In the 21-22 school year, which is the current year, we have 20 participants. And for the 22-23 school year, we have 31 participants. So you can see the program has definitely grown, and that was pretty exciting to see 31 of our employees being able to take advantage of that program. So just wanted to throw that in there. All right, and on to the approval of CSEA and the district entering into negotiations. So there are 5 articles that we would like to bring forward. Article 6, paying allowance, Article 8, health and welfare benefits, Article 9, holidays, Article 10, vacation plan, and Article 15, professional growth for discussion in our negotiation sessions. And so this evening, I'd like to ask the board to approve us entering into negotiations.
Thank you. Board, any questions or comments on this? Okay, I don't see any questions or comments from the board. Do I have, I'll accept a motion and then I'll see if we have any comments from the public. Do we have a motion to approve the proposal to enter into negotiation?
Move.
Second, Carolyn.
Thank you. And with the motion and the second, do we have any public communications on this issue?
I do have one on text, and it reads, and it's an anonymous member of the public. It reads, "Hi, President of the Board. I'd like to comment regarding Agenda 9A. On behalf of the CSEA, I'm pleased with how the negotiations with SUESD are going. My hope is the Board of Trustees will approve the CSEA Joint Bargaining Agreement proposal for the 21-22 academic school year. Thank you."
Thank you for reading that. And do we have any comments on email or Zoom?
Nothing on email.
No one on Zoom.
All right, thank you. So with that, we have a motion and a second. We've heard our comment. Why don't we go ahead and take a vote? So all in favor of approving the bargaining agreement proposal?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great. All in favor. Thank you. Now we'll move on to item 9B, consider adopting a resolution for small contract and change order approval process.
Good evening again, everyone. This is a resolution that has been brought forward to the board over the years on a couple of different occasions. The most recent was when we entered into the Measure C program, and that program had a lot of change orders and a lot of unexpected underground work that came up. And so to facilitate that, the board adopted a resolution that allowed myself or Superintendent Turnbull to enter into change orders or contracts under a certain amount of money and then bring them to the next board meeting for ratification. I'm asking the board to approve a resolution this evening in slightly the same regard. I don't foresee a lot of change orders or additional work needing to be done, but it was nice to have, especially when we have only one board meeting in some months, and I don't have the opportunity in a timely time to get the information to the board. One other reason why I want to bring this to the board this evening will be for item 9C, which is a contracted project that we need to enter into. And after speaking to our auditors, this was the most prudent way to go forward with that item by having a resolution in place. So I'd like to ask the board to approve the resolution this evening.
Great. Any questions or comments from the board?
So I have to ask, is this GASB, Ed Code, and our auditor okay?
Yes.
Does the cumulative rule kick in?
Oh, you mean if there are multiple, well, yes. No, I should say, I'm sorry, that each change order in and of itself is its own standing change order, or each small contract in and of itself is its own small contract. So it wouldn't, if we had multiple change orders under the same contract, it wouldn't be that it could only go to 60,000. It would be each one individually.
But if we had what I'm thinking though, is if we had a vendor and you had a $30,000 one, and now you have a $31,000 one, does that $31,000 one have to be approved because it accumulates to over 60?
No, they would be considered individual,
Okay.
unless, I mean, I guess if they were on Monday and then Tuesday they had to change it again, I would definitely want to take a look at that. But no, that in and of themselves, they would be considered individual or small contract work.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions from members of the board? Okay, why don't we start with a motion and then we'll see if we have any comments from the public. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Jen.
Great. And do we have any comments from the public on this issue?
Nothing on text.
Nothing on email.
No one on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second, and it's a resolution. So Linda, when you're ready, we'll do a roll call vote.
Donnelly,
Me? Oh, aye.
Trustee Friedman,
Aye.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Aye.
Trustee Izant Gonzalez,
Aye.
Trustee Jackson Miller.
Aye. Thank you. Resolution passes. All in favor. And we'll move on to our next item, 9C, approved contract. Consider approving contract with Santana Paving and Grading for the emergency asphalt repair project.
Good evening. Thank you for the approval of 9B. 9C is actually being brought forward this evening. This is the asphalt between the 30 and 40s wing. We were hoping to have this work done through Measure C, and that did not come about at the time. Over the last 2 years, the asphalt has gotten extremely bad, mainly due to tree roots bringing up the asphalt. We did have an employee that tripped and was hurt quite seriously by some of this uprooted asphalt. Because the limit on for contracting is $60,000. I had 2 informal quotes from 2 different companies that came in within $500 of each other, and the one from Santana this evening was $89,500. And so after speaking with our auditors and the most prudent way to fix this, the other bid was not able, or the other quote, the company was not able to do the work until the summer. And I didn't want to wait that long due to the nature of the work. And this company is able to do the work over spring break and will also mitigate any impact to the site by doing it during spring break. So if the board passes the contract this evening as emergency work, we can get that project up and running right away.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question about, so it's the tree roots that are kind of causing the problem?
The majority of it, yes, the tree roots and the age of the asphalt itself. Normally, that asphalt should have been probably redone years ago. They don't have a useful long life, and due to the extensive tree root damage, slurrying, just basically putting a top coat over the top, wouldn't solve the issue. So we are going to actually have to remove some of the trees and the benches in that area and do that area because of it.
That's what I was going to ask, if the trees are going to keep making that a problem, and even if we redo it, is it going to be a problem down the road? But it sounds like you're going to remedy that issue so that we don't have to keep redoing it, correct?
Yes, with a heavy heart, I say that because I don't want to dig up a tree, but I also don't want the district to have to continuously spend money for tree damage. So we will be planting other things in that area. Hopefully that will be less invasive to the asphalt work.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from trustees? All right. Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the contract with Santana Paving and Grading for the emergency asphalt repair project at New Brighton?
I move.
A second, Carolyn.
All right, so Phil made the motion, Carolyn second. And do we have any comments from members of the public?
Nothing on text for this item.
And nothing on email.
No one on Zoom.
Thank you all. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving this contract?
Aye.
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 I don't think that was someone opposed. No, no one opposed. Okay. All right. Thank you all. We're just going to keep rolling along with item 9D, consider ratifying the change order for the Climate Tech Comprehensive Infrastructure Modernization and Sustainability Contract.
All right, good evening again, board. Rob Redding is here from Climate Tech, and I've asked him to join the meeting both on items 9D and 9E. So if the board has any additional questions that they can ask him directly, because he has definitely got the more technical lingo down than I do on some of this stuff. So when we originally were putting the package together for the comprehensive infrastructure plan, we did put in one EV charging station. And after conversations with both Climate Tech and within internally and where we want to go as a district, we definitely want to start phasing out our diesel and gas buses and move to more energy efficient electric buses. And with this change order, we are going to be able to add a second EV station, one that would be in the front of New Brighton, which would be accessible for cars and in general purpose, and then one on the back parking lot where the buses park that would have access for the buses to charge overnight. And so with that, I ask the board to consider ratifying the change order.
All right. Any questions or comments from members on the board of this issue?
You know, I do have a question in kind of a light of this, but are there grants out there? I know you were talking about the buses, but fleet vehicles to convert them to electric or purchase electric vehicles as we move along with this?
There are, and we have actually put in applications over the last couple of years, and unfortunately, our applications have never been accepted. Our district's free and reduced numbers are not high enough to put us to the top of the list. And so usually those grant funds are awarded to districts with higher free and reduced rates than ours are. So we're working with a company right now that's going into another round of grants that are coming out. So hopefully that we will be able to get in on that one. And then I know with Governor Newsom's proposal, his new budget proposal, he is putting additional funds in there for busing. And so there's a hope that we will be able to get into that round of grant funding as well.
So since our district is really small, we're just going to leave a carbon footprint.
That's unfortunately.
It comes down to, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Well, just in the sense of our buses need to go. Our buses are older, and we are spending a lot of money on repairing them. And for the fact that they're not environmentally friendly, especially our diesel buses, we do want them off the road. Steve Cartwright, our Director of Maintenance Operations Transportation, had an opportunity to meet with Santa Cruz City Schools. They are purchasing a new electric bus. Those buses can run from anywhere from $100,000 to $500,000, depending on the size and what you need. And we have not had the financial ability in the district to put money into a new bus of that magnitude. We've always purchased refurbished buses. So with a grant, hopefully we can phase out all three of our buses.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bill.
Will the public charging station at the front of New Brighton be shut off after like school hours?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Rob maybe can help me with that one. And is there ability to turn them on and off?
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, and thank you, everyone. That's really going to be up to the district. There is different software and different options that can be put on there. Either codes so that the fleet vehicles of the district can have just a code you punch in so that you can hook up and charge. You can set it up to charge members of the public, 10 cents a charge or whatever it may be, or 10 cents a half hour. That's really going to be flexible and a lot of options for the district once we get those installed to work with you on.
And will that charger be powered just by the solar?
All of that's going to be tied into the electrical infrastructure of the site. So during the day, yes, it could be taking power from the solar panels, depending on how much electricity the buildings are using. And then in the evenings, obviously, if it were to be on, it would be drawing from the grid. So that's why some districts choose to charge members of the public to use it when the district's being charged for that power.
Yeah, I just don't know how we feel about having somebody just park there overnight,
For sure. And I know that's, to be honest with you, Phil, I didn't even think about that. That I just was so excited it was going to be there. I didn't really think about the logistical part of it. So we will definitely create a plan and a process for that. And it's good to know that it's web-based, so it makes it easy to monitor. So that's pretty good. Or app-based.
Well, my family's a frequent charge point user, so we've got one EV. So I'm excited about this, and yeah, I think there are a lot of really great options as far as charging for the charging. So my 2 cents there. Any other questions or comments from the board? All right. And we'll continue with the pattern here, see if we can get a motion in a second, then I'll check in with the public. Do we have a motion to ratify the change order?
I'd love to make the motion.
Any second?
I'll second, Carolyn.
Okay, thank you. And do we have any comments from the public on this?
Nothing on text for this item.
And nothing on email.
No one on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion in a second. All in favor to ratify the change order for the climate tech modernization?
Aye.
All in favor, aye. Sorry for the lag. You wanted to hear me read the whole thing. It sounds like we've got all 5 aye in favor.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Very good. On to item 9E, consider approval of the bid contract from the Skylight Place for our windows at New Brighton.
Yes, good evening again, board. Bringing this proposal forward to you. I have mentioned over multiple board meetings our intent to replace the windows at New Brighton. And along with that, we've done some extensive work at looking at those windows, what that would look like, the structure of the windows, how that would have to change. They are very, very large paned windows. And so it was every time I did a walkthrough, either with Steve or with Rob, from Climate Tech, there was more windows we continued to find. It was like they were just coming out of the woodwork. And this project, we had initially set aside $750,000. The end proposal bid is roughly $1.3 million. I would say that I know that's almost double the price of what we were hoping for, but I do believe actually that price is pretty good based on our economy as it stands right now, the availability of contractors out there, and the escalating prices. Every time we turn around, there's just prices continue to escalate up. Some of the framing will have to be adjusted. Different window sizes will go in. The windows that we are getting will be have a reflective pane on them, so the classrooms will no longer require curtains, and you won't be able to see in. One of the other changes was currently the upper windows tilt out as the ventilation system. These newer windows will have pull-up windows on the bottom panes for more air circulation on the bottom area of the classrooms as opposed to the top area of the classrooms. The proposal that we have in tonight's packet, I can tell you now we will probably be bringing a change order forward on this. Due to the extensiveness of the amount of windows and the different options between film coating all the windows, part of the windows, the number of windows that will be operable and inoperable, we would just want to make sure we get input from the site on all of these areas. And the Skylight Place, in conjunction with Anderson Construction, because obviously the Skylight Place will be providing us all of the windows, and Anderson Construction will be the ones that will actually be doing the construction work itself over the summer. I just want to make sure we get everybody's input on the final product of the number of windows that will be operable and inoperable. And with that, I have Rob here as well. This is not part of Climate Tech's infrastructure program that we're working with them on, but they have very kindly offered to help the district through the bid process. We had 2 companies that were interested, but only one bid proposal was put forward, and that was from the Skylight Place. So that can tell you also the availability of contractors and construction work right now is very thin. So I asked the board to approve the contract, and if you have any questions for myself or Rob, we're here to answer them.
All right, team, questions or comments?
So, either way, as you look at it, climate tech, we're, well, carbon footprints and all this. On the other hand, with the new windows, it's going to save a lot of energy. I mean, those windows are, God, when the school is built, probably. And of course, yeah, you're going to start pulling them out. You're going to find other, little stuff that we're going to have to repair. But just walking the campus, it just is totally necessary to replace those windows. And that goes way back too. So, either way we look at it, it's going to be great for the classroom and it's going to be great on energy too. And the sun's not going to be beaten on our students inside there. It's like the mothership has come. So anyways, I like it. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll add on, with the Measure C projects and building our beautiful new classrooms. I think we had such hopes and intentions for being able to continue and to upgrade so many of our other buildings. And so this is another really nice way to have similar situations in our classrooms, in terms of comfort for students and staff members, and of course energy efficiency. I'm wondering, as far as supply chain issues, et cetera, if there's any concern about availability of all the materials, whether we feel pretty confident on the timeline of being able to get everything in place and installed over the summer.
Rob and I did talk about that. The Skylight Place, unless it's changed, Rob can correct me. I believe they're 14 to 16 week lead time. So one of the reasons I wanted to bring this proposal to the board this evening was so that we could get the process rolling and then bring back possibly a small change order once we get the final number of windows and what kind, because the longer we wait, the longer. But I feel confident right now that if we can get the order going now, we'll have plenty of time to have it in for summer work.
Great, thank you. Yes, Phil.
So as an aside, my son and I were reminiscing about the good old days when they had Ocean Week and the kelp covered the whole window in paper kelp.
Oh.
It was awesome. You walked in there and it was just like being underwater. But I agree with Ted. I think if we're able to, I'm not sure, Rob, if we are able to measure the difference in our consumption from one year to the next, just for those wings. But I'm going to guess that there's going to be a good savings. And as I understand it, the rates are going to go up like pretty quick here too. PG&E announced a rate increase.
Yes.
Yes, Trustee Donnelly, or I'm sorry, Trustee Rodriguez. Yes, to that, a couple items there. Those classrooms are also some of those that are going to be receiving new air conditioning systems. So the year-over-year consumption is going to be hard to measure room to room, as they're going to be now having air conditioning when they didn't before. And but to your second point, yes, PG&E is right now looking at a rate forecast over the next 3 years, 13 to 18% hike in annual calendar year 2023. So there will be a pretty significant bump across the table in PG&E service territory. So very important to get these things in. The windows to minimize any solar load going into the classroom, systems that are super efficient, controlled well to minimize the energy use within the classroom, and get it all in place before we hit that bump in 2023.
And so either you or Michelle, what is the life on this, the asset life on Windows? 20 years?
Yeah, well, typically, probably 30 years is a good benchmark in practicality. How old's New Brighton?
Yeah, that's funny. You beat me to it, Rob. I was going to say those original windows had, I don't know if we would call them in a useful life system right now, but they're still hanging in there.
Yeah, mine was mostly how do I figure out the cost per year for the outlay rather than in real life.
Yeah.
And that's materials. Yeah, sorry, Michelle. Yeah, material selections were made as well, considering the marine environment. You know, we're not looking at wood frames here. We're looking at different materials to make sure that they can last as long as possible, given the environment they're going to be in.
One of the other nice things about this is that because we do live in a moderate climate, we don't have the extremes of, 100 and 110 degrees and the extremes of, 20 and 30 degrees. We do stay fairly moderate here. So I think that does help with the useful life as well on a lot of the work that we're doing. But we then have the offset of that as we live by the ocean. So we do have erosion from that. I would just like to add, for a personal note, this has been a dream of mine. Like literally a dream of mine to have these windows replaced at New Brighton from the day I started working here almost 10 years ago. So I not only am very excited to be in the role that I am, but also in able to bring this project to the board for approval is pretty darn exciting for me. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? Nope. Do I have a motion to consider approval of the bid contract from the Skylight Place?
I move.
Great. Do I have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second it.
Ted beat me, I think.
All right. We'll have
But
Ted second. And do we have any questions or comments from members of the public on this?
Do have 2 text public comments on this item. First off, hello, President of the Board. I'd like to comment on Agenda 9E. What wings of NBMS will have window replacement?
It would the 10s, 20s, 10s and 20s. Well, actually, the 10s, 20s, 30s, and 40s wing. It's the majority of the work are on the 10s and 20s, I believe, with the large windows, and then some of the bathroom and smaller windows. The only windows that will not be replaced, put it that way, the only windows not being replaced in this project on any of the existing buildings, older buildings, are the very top paned windows up by the ceiling above the door.
The other comment is, will these be Anderson windows? Comment, if so, they have excellent warranties.
I don't know the answer to that.
I was going to say, it looks like the logo on the proposal is Milgard, but I don't
Yeah.
know if, yeah.
Yeah, they're Milgard windows.
Thank
That's all
you.
for text.
Thank you. I see we have a call-in user with hand raised. So if you'd like to unmute yourself and make a comment or ask a question, go ahead. And is that, if it's our same call-in user from before, I believe that was Ms. Garrett. If you would like to comment, please do go ahead and unmute yourself.
Unmuted. Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. So I had to push *6 to unmute. When I hear energy efficient, it sounds good, but there are a lot of problems with what's called energy efficiency. I remember the fluorescent compact light bulbs. I think they are being replaced with LED, but they were touted as energy efficient, and the flickering causes terrible problems biologically. And also, they had mercury in them, which is, there's still a lot of them around, one of the most toxic elements known on Earth. And there's no way to dispose of these things safely. They just go somewhere and they're toxic. So I'm wondering specifically what that means. And I'm also looking at a book here, and I know you all have curiosity. I love to read interesting sources myself. This is called The Invisible Rainbow, A History of Electricity and Life by Arthur Furstenberg. I think it's still on the bestseller list and been translated to many languages. And he shows how each time there's been an increase in electricity in the environment, there's been corresponding illnesses and increased mortality rate, like when the Telecom Act of 1996 of all the wireless antennas came in. And here's a list of symptoms with people who have electrohypersensitivity, which is also called microwave sickness. See if this sounds familiar. Irritability, heart palpitations, chest pain, shortness of breath and asthma attacks, tremors and shivering, diarrhea, vertigo, insomnia, numbness and tingling, nausea and vomiting, a very long list. So there are problems with electricity causing disease. So I would caution the board on this fact. In my own house, I turn off the circuit breakers at night or when I'm not using them. And that cuts down on the electrical current going through the walls. Many people experience...
Excuse me, ma'am, I just want to let you know you have about 30 more seconds. And this item that we're discussing is an item about replacing windows at our middle school.
Okay, and I'd like more specifics on that. They talked about that also having air conditioning with it as part of the system. When I taught in the classroom, I preferred opening the door, turning off the heat manually. And when they put in this automatic system, we would just swelter. I couldn't turn it off. I'd have to go open the door. Will the teacher be able to manually adjust the temperature, the lighting? That's my question.
Okay, thank you so much for your comment and your question. And if we do, this is an item specifically to discuss replacing windows, but if there is an answer on air conditioning, that might be something staff can answer, but if not, again, we'll stick to the agenda item on the. Yes, Trustee Rodriguez.
So could we have either a correction or explain the customer on the quote is not the city of Capitola?
Did I miss that? I'm sorry. For the quote for Skylight Place or?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I see that.
Yeah, that probably was a copy paste of the form, but no, this is specific, and I've gone back and forth. This is Rob from Climate Take here. I've gone back and forth with the team over at Skylight Place and Andrews Construction several times. So the counts and amounts are as close as they can get before there will be a detailed walk that they'll be doing after this evening's decision to finalize, confirm, and to Michelle's point, there will probably be a change order coming back once we've determined exactly how many windows will be getting the reflective coating, exactly how many windows will be operable to firm up the final number.
Yeah, that's not my question. And my question is that I don't think that the city of Capitola is going to be the customer.
No, I see where you're seeing that now, Phil. I'm sorry. Yes, we will make sure that we get that changed. It's on the one from the Skylight Place. Yes. I totally missed that. I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's some good fine print catching there. So thank you for making that. Thank you for making that correction. Anything else from staff on this item before the board takes a vote? Nope. Okay, great. So we had a motion and a second. All in favor for approving the contract from the Skylight Place for window replacement. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any vote? Thank you. Any opposed? Nope. Okay. That passes. Now we're going to move on to item 9F. Consider adopting the resolution for the district to borrow cash from the county treasury.
Okay, I just would like to let the board know that the irony of this last agenda item was not lost on me. This was my actual only one agenda item. That's a standing item that we give to the board every year that allows us to borrow cash from the county during periods when our tax teachers have not come in, which are typically November and April. And I'm asking the board to approve this resolution after I just asked the board to approve many agenda items to spend money. So I just wanted to point the irony of that out. It is not lost. As I said, it's a standing resolution that we ask the board to pass every year.
Thank you for that. Questions or comments from the board?
So is the interest rate locked in when you actually draw?
From the county, from when we borrow from the county, no, it is not. Well,
Okay.
It changes daily. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. They base it on a daily rate because you're only charged negative interest for the number of days, and that's based on those days that the interest rate is at.
Okay, anyone else? Great, as Michelle mentioned, this is an annual item. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
Carolyn.
Okay, second.
I'll second Jen.
Great, thank you. And do we have any comments from the public on this item?
Nothing on text.
Nothing on email.
No one on Zoom.
All right, we have a motion and a second. It's a resolution, so we will have a roll call vote.
Aye.
Trustee Friedman,
Aye.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Aye.
Trustee Izant Gonzalez,
Aye.
Trustee Jackson Miller.
Aye. Thank you. That's 5 ayes, and that, I believe, was our last action item, unless, Michelle, you want to add anything? I'm just kidding. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to item 10, correspondence. Any correspondence board members would like to share?
So I missed the beginning of the meeting. Did we recognize the student correspondence that we received?
The student correspondent from the fourth graders who've been emailing us?
Yes.
No, we did not. So I can mention that we have received some communications and proposals from a fourth grade class at Main Street Elementary, and I will respond to them on behalf of the board. And I think that is it as far as general correspondence. But no, we didn't get a chance to address that at the beginning of the meeting. Thank you for bringing that up.
As well as the correspondence from the New Brighton Middle School student as well.
Right. Thank you very much. We did have an email from a middle school student that I will respond to as well. Thank you. All right, on to, I turned my page too quickly. Future agenda items as requested by trustees. This is an opportunity to make a request right now. And then of course, we always have the opportunity to make a request for an agenda item by contacting myself or the superintendent. Anything now? Okay. Do I have a motion for adjournment, item 12?
I'll make the motion.
And a second? Yep, was that, I'm sorry.
Carolyn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Meeting is adjourned. I look forward to seeing you all at our next regularly scheduled meeting in person on March 16th. Thank you all. Thank you,
Thank you.
George.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good night,
Linda.
everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Good night.